Hello and welcome to the part 2 of the Pycharm basic configuration setup on a Windows computer. We'll continue from where we left off in part 1. Pycharm has an integrated text editor that allows you to write Python code. So we're going to create a Python file and just write maybe one line of code just to test it out. So to do that, where I've got my project name, that's where I want to create the Python file so that it is contained inside that directory. So I'll right click and there's an option for new, and there's option for new file. But what's more important, we want a Python file. So we click on that option for Python file. We'll give it a name. I'm going to call it greeting. And it will automatically save that as a Python file. So I'll click OK. And you can see here it's created the file greeting.py inside my project directory called Python course. So this is the editor area. This is where I can now write my Python code. So I'm just going to write just one line of code here. I'll do print. I do parentheses and I do my quotes. I just say hello world. All right. And that is basically my line of code. This is a complete statement, complete valid code. So to save that, I do a Control and S, or I can come here and do file and just click save as, or just click save. There's an option on the bottom here also that says save all. So there are various ways you can save your work. Now this file here is a file that I can execute inside this integrated environment inside Pycharm. I don't need to leave Pycharm to run this file. So to run this file, there is a play button, but the play button is not automatically activated. So to do that, here on the left where I've got the name of the file, I'll right click and there's an option to run the file. You can see the name of the file here. I click run and that will execute inside this area here. This area here, you can see the code here. This line of code I've written here is being outputted inside this area here. This area is called the terminal or the console. Okay, some people call it console, some people call it the terminal. So this is where the code outputs. Another thing to take note is this line here. It tells you the location of the file. So if, for example, I wanted to run this file outside of this integrated environment, I can just browse to the location of this file and then just run it directly in my command prompt or my terminal outside of this Pycharm integrated environment. Another thing I want you to note is that you notice that this play button now is now active. So if I want to run this file on future occasions, I don't need to come here and right click. I can just click on the play button because it's now selected here in the list. If I have other files I create, I will also have them listed. I can go there to make sure they are there and then click on the play button. Also integrated inside the Pycharm, we've got the Python console. Python console is different from the terminal. Is the interactive shell. So if I click on it, you'll see the symbol here. You can see it's the interactive shell that allows you to interact with Python. So the Python console is the Python shell, while the terminal is actually where the code is outputted. The difference within the Python console and the terminal is that with the Python console, you interact. You type in a line of code, you get a response and so on. Whereas when you are working with the terminal will just output the line of code. For example, here, if I run this code again, all it does, it just gives me the output for the line of code. So there's a key difference between the terminal and the Python console. Let's say I want to run my Python file outside of my Pycharm environment. I can just go to the location of the file, which is indicated here in my terminal. So I've just got it here. So it's on my drive. That's it here. It's got a folder called Pycharm projects. And inside that, I've got the project called Python course, which is that. And inside that Python course, I have got my file, which is called greeting. So if I want to execute or run this file outside my Pycharm, I can do that. I will just navigate to this location. This is it here. I have navigated to the location. It's in this directory here. You can see I've changed directory to Pycharm project, which is this directory here. And then I've also changed Pycharm project is where your projects are stored in Pycharm. So you locate that directory, and inside that directory, you can see I've changed directory to this directory called Python course. And it's inside here that my file greeting.py is. So if I want to run that file inside my command prompt, which is outside the Pycharm IDE, I just come here and type in the name of the file, which is greeting.py, and press enter, and that should execute. You can see it's executed the code here, and that's the same thing it has done when you run it inside the editor. So if I click on play here, it does the same thing here, that I'm able to run inside my command prompt, which is outside the Pycharm environment. So it's very important to know the location of the file in case you want to run that file outside the Pycharm integrated environment. So this concludes the two-part video series on basic Pycharm setup configuration on a Windows-based computer. Note this is just the basic configuration settings, because Pycharm is very powerful. There are other stuff you can set up inside it, but to just get you up and running, we've done the very basic. Feel free to go through the help menu inside Pycharm and read through more about other things you can do with it. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.